Udah share screen lagi.
Yes, I start. I start recording this meeting, okay?
Oke. Di share screen lagi, Nida.
Yes. Oh, nggak bisa ya, Kak? Disable.
We are recording.
Dea, can you make Nida the co-host so she can share the screen?
Yes, of course. Nadia or I cannot pronounce your name.
Yes.
Rahana or Raha?
Nida. Oh, Rana.
Rana. Yeah. Okay.
Udah Nida share screen ya.
It's done.
Kameranya Nida. Okay. I'll start first, okay? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We are from group 8 and we will talk about distribution theory from Islamic economic perspective. Next. The group member consists of me, Rana Batara, Dia Ali Kasim Al Raimi. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm sorry. And Nida Gevira Sofa. Distribution is one of the human economic activities in addition to production and consumption. The study of distribution has always been a hot discourse in Islamic economics because the discussion is distribution is not only related to economic aspect, but only social and political aspect. So it has attracted attention to Islamic and conventional economic thinkers to date. Quran also provides the foundation for the economy of mankind. The encouragement of the Quran on the distribution sector has been explained in the Quran Surat Al-Anfal. Al-Anfal ayat 1 ya?
Al-Anfal ayat 1.
Yeah, that's right. Surat Al-Anfal, Al-Ayat 8.
Okay, Al-Hashr, Al-Hadid, and At-Taubah. 60 constant of value that strictly prohibits the accumulation of assets or staple goods by a handful of people. Distribution of wealth that is not fair and equitable will make rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Thus, the distribution pattern must prioritize priority aspect based on the need assessment. These are the reason the emergence of the concept of thinking about distributive justice in Islamic economics. Okay, next. Nadia, you can wait.
Yes, of course. Capitalism grew and developed from England and in the 9th century. The spread to Western Europe and North America as a result of resistance, right? To I cannot pronounce this word. To
Church teachings.
To church teaching, yes, which intentionally dominated by market economic system. Although in this development, through has been a distribution, discourse, right, and the concept of managed market economy. Kept this market economy system emphasize not waiting government and interference, right?
Yes.
Interference, yes. In the economy, and lays free few. The stays obliging not to intervene. I'm sorry, guys. Intervene. I'm sorry, guys, but there are some words.
Okay.
I think it's not a problem, right?
Hey, take your time.
Okay. To civilize the distribution of wealthy, or to make century sparse. prosperous to protect its people from arbitrary but economic problem should be completely left to the market management. Oh my god.
So there,
Yeah.
you don't have to read all of it. I think you just read like the main of
The main
of it,
idea, right?
and yeah, the main idea. But if you find something like difficult or something, you can just skip it. Uh, your voice
Okay, I'll
is
do that.
gone.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Market starting from the thoughts formulated by wait a minute, Edmund Smith in the early 9th century. The laissez-faire school of thought was very demented in the economic thought in the aftermath. Okay, is a French phrase which means lift it happen, right? No, let it happen, let it happen. This term comes from the French decade, which was first used by Passericus, I don't know how to pronounce it, in the 9th century as a form of resistance to government, interviewing in the trade. This lays fire. This I think this is a phrasal verb. View the lessened up, especially since Kayfen Canis, I cannot answer as well. That
Yeah, it's
justified
okay.
that yeah, they justified government inter, inter, interference in the economic score. Scatter gained his. This is since the great distribution of the early 1930 s.
1930s. Okay.
Did I read this as
Yeah,
well?
Nida.
I think
Yeah,
I finished.
Nida,
I
you can.
finished, right?
Yeah. Nida, you can read.
The foundation or value-based system that from capitalists in materialist, hedonist, and secularists. Materialist hedonist tends to have a particular view of life with the assumption that matter is everything. This concept of materialism has brought the orientation of most human life to more wealth, pleasure, and physical enjoyment. Thus neglecting the spiritual dimension. Meanwhile, secularism tries to separate the religion and science, and even tends to ignore the normative or moral dimension. Meanwhile, the economic distribution system in Indonesia still contains several weaknesses. This is due to the dominance of the market economy system, capitalist, which then to have weaknesses, including social inequality and inequality, inconsistent profit maximization, materialism, moral crisis, and neglect of welfare. With neglected to distribution problem, the market capitalist economy system used the principle that the sustainment of profit in a country in by increased domestic production and giving people the freedom to take as make production. Well, in the product for the country. By solving domestic property, the problem of individual property will also be solved because their attention to production can solve their property problem. So the best solution to solving society problems in the increased products. Property is considered a logical and natural consequence because it must be accepted given from a competition. Even property is not only considered a logical consequence of the friend in economic competition, but also sentence because of the mechanism and ignorance of the poor so that they cannot complete. Productive effort and hard work of the poor are not properly rewarded because they are not supported by adequate capital, properly acquired because of a visual trickle that really can be interrupted or good. So it must be accepted as it is. In the end, property was considered not an economic problem but a social and religious problem which was solved by a lot of alums. In the capitalist economy system, this property can be resolved by increasing the level of products and increasing national income in theory that cannot be justified and properly is even one of the products of the capitalist economy system, which creates an unfair distribution pattern of wealth.
The distribution of Islamic economics efforts to achieve distributive justice. Distributive justice is a central principle in Islamic economics. The Islamic economic system requires that in terms of distribution, it must be based on freedom and justice. Freedom here is freedom that is framed by the value of monotheism and justice, unlike the understanding of the capitalists, whose state is an act of freeing humans to act or act without interference from any party. Within the framework of Islamic morality, every individual will not engage in monopoly acts of corruption, neglect the interests of others of themselves, their families, or relatives. Islam also views that the understanding of matter is a misunderstanding because humans, apart from having a material dimension, also have a non-material or spiritual dimension. In Islamic economics, these two dimensions are included as reflected in the value, which is summarized in four axioms, namely, one, Islamic emphasis on unity or tawhid is a vertical dimension which shows that the correct guidance comes from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The horizontal dimension of Islam is balance or equilibrium, which demands the realization of a balance in society, the existence of parity or balance that summarize most of ethical teaching of Islam, including equal distribution of wealth and income, the obligation to help the poor and needy, the necessity to make adjustment in the spectrum of distribution relation, production, and consumption. Three is freedom or free will, namely freedom framed by Tawhid, meaning that free humans are not as free as they are, but are bound by the limitation given by Allah. Number four is namely responsibility as an absolute commitment to efforts to improve the welfare of fellow human being. There.
Okay, the theory that is applied to by the market economic system is considered as Islam in the view of Islamic economics because the theory has implicance for the accumulate of wealthy for a small number of parties. This is different from the Islam economic system, which greatly protest the interests of of every systems, but both rich and poor, by giving more responsibility to the rich to carry for the poor, and the in Korean, right? In the Quran, not Korean. In the Quran, yes. In the Quran, it is stated that justice is a universal goal to be achieved, in the perfect equilibrium. That the distribution system in the view of Islam economic must be based on the basic principle of Islam economics, including individual freedom, social security, per,
Repetition.
right?
Prohibition.
Prohibition of accumulating assets and uh, equitable distribution of. Can you move to the next page, please?
Oh.
Should I read it as well? Okay, distribution.
Yeah, if you want.
I will try. This distribution Muslim هذا
Like mechanism.
mechanism. Mechanism is Islam.
Yeah,
Towards
it's okay. Go on.
huh? You can read it.
Yeah, it's okay. Go on.
Towards wealth.
Tidak boleh.
Okay, to wealth Islamic economy. In reality, the market also cannot operate bottomly due to inflated conducts of competition. I'm sorry, I can't complete because there are many words I cannot pronounce.
It's okay. It's okay. Tidak boleh lanjutkan.
Now you can do this, and I will do the next page if there are still some pages.
Yeah.
The government plays an active role in the economic distribution system in the Islamic market mechanism, which is not only temporary and mirror, but the government takes a big and important role. The government does not only act as a for maker games al-Mustasib, but he will play an active role alongside other market players. The government will act as a planner, supervisor, product, and customer for market activity. The mechanism of Islamic economic distribution system can be divided into namely economic mechanism and not economic mechanism. The first economic mechanism included productive economic activities in the form of various asset development activity in muamalah contracts, such as opening the widest possible opportunity for the course of individual ownership and development of asset through investment, prohibition of holding asset, overcoming distribution and concentration of wealth in a handful of groups, prohibition on monopolistic activities, and various fraud of prohibition of gambling, usury, corruption, and bribery. And second, meanwhile, not economy mechanisms are mechanisms that do not go through productive economic activities, but through not productive activities, such as giving grants, sodaqah, zakat, and inheritance. The non-economic mechanism is intended to complement the economic mechanism, namely to overcome the imperfect distribution of wealth if it's only released on economy mechanism. And last,
Yeah, you want to read?
Yeah, yes, indeed. First, the implementing of zakah. Zakah is the most effective and essential instrument that is not found in the capitalism or socialism systems. Economically, right? Zakah has distributive function. Normally, function normally reduce portion of economy, distribution of economy from yes, from Muzaki. This is name, okay? From Muzaki to Mustahik. And
yeah, that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, but I think it's a word in English, but it's a name. And zakah allows an election of consumption and investment. Second one, the second is implementing of the profit sharing system and the development of the Betel mill extension. Another important instrument in the justice process of economic distribution is the profit and less sharing system. The system can build a pattern pattern of cooperation and
Brotherhood.
brotherhood between the owners of capital, and those have skills, so that there is a transfer of wealth and distribution of economy. Please next. Yeah, go ahead. The third one is contribution in a free market structure. Islamic economics prioritize, right? The principle of freedom, including in the market structure, adopt a free cooperation system. Cooperation system. Should I read or?
Yeah, you can go on if you want.
Okay, I will go ahead. The formula reflects the I cannot read this word.
Interdisciplinary.
I'll read for you. I'll read for you. Okay. This formula reflects the interdisciplinary and dynamic characters of Ibn al-Khaldun, analyze which links all social, economics, and political variables, including Sharia, political power of governance, society or nation, wealth, resource or wealth, development or growth, and justice. Their variables are in a loop that is interdependent because they influence each other. Conclusion. The problem of injustice and inequality in the distribution of income and wealth today cannot be separated from the economic system, which is still dominated by the market economic system. This market, which is capitalist economic system, in fact, is enabled to create a just and civilized global economy, and even creates permanent poverty for the community, because this system has implication for the accumulation of wealth and only a few parties. With the distribution of assets with a non-economic mechanism through the activity of giving zakat, infaq, grants, wakaf, and sadaqah, it is hoped that it will be able to bridge the income distribution gap between the have and the have not. Next. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. These are our presentation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You can stop recording. Yeah.
Okay. Right now. Okay.